She said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women.
Yeah.
See, this is not black, Asian, this is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please stop using that phrase and talk about, because you don't understand what you're saying.
For years, Whoopi Goldberg has steamrolled conservative voices, shutting them down mid-sentence, dismissing their opinions as if they don't even matter. She barely lets guests get a word in before rolling her eyes and waving them off like they're beneath her. But this time, she ran straight into a force she never saw coming. Enter Karoline Leavitt. This wasn't just a fiery exchange. It was a full-scale verbal smackdown, broadcasted for the whole world to see. Karoline didn't just challenge Whoopi, she exposed her hypocrisy, tore through her weak arguments, and left her scrambling for a response. The entire panel, frozen in disbelief. It was the first time in The View's history that Whoopi was completely and utterly shut down. And now, the backlash? It's off the charts. ABC executives are in a total meltdown, scrambling behind the scenes as rumors swirl about firings, disciplinary actions, and possibly even permanent exits. And Whoopi? Let's just say she might have finally pushed it too far this time. So what exactly did Karoline say that left Whoopi humiliated right there on live television? You won't believe how this unfolded. The chaos erupted when Whoopi, Joy Behar, and the rest of The View decided they were going to gang up on Karoline, treating her like some clueless outsider in their little woke clubhouse. And as expected, it got nasty. Fast. Whoopi, with her usual smug superiority, rolled her eyes and smirked, clearly thinking she had the upper hand. Joy, never one to miss an opportunity for a cheap shot, chimed in with her signature bitter tone, practically salivating at the chance to tear Karoline down. But this time, they picked the wrong guest to mess with. Oh, so now we're judging women based on their looks? The hypocrisy is off the charts. These are the same women who constantly scream about supporting and uplifting women. Until, of course, that woman happens to be conservative. Then, all bets are off. Suddenly, it's open season for mocking, belittling, and tearing them down. The so-called champions of feminism expose themselves every single time. But here's the real kicker. Karoline Leavitt isn't just some talking head. Her list of accomplishments is through the roof, and she's achieved them all at a young age. Meanwhile, Whoopi? What exactly has she done lately besides sitting in a cushy chair spewing the same tired narratives and shutting down anyone who dares to challenge her? And then, oh, it gets so much better. Karoline didn't hesitate, didn't back down, not even for a second. No nervous laughter, no stuttering, no scrambling for words. She knew exactly what she was going to say, and she delivered it with absolute precision. And Whoopi? Well, you already know what comes next. She had to respond somehow. But let's be honest, what she had to say wasn't even worth listening to. Still, just to be fair, let's hear her out.
Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women.
Yeah.
See, this is not black, Asian, this is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please stop using that phrase and talking about, because you don't understand what you're saying. But she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah. Let
Let me explain something to you, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table.
That's when Karoline fired back with the line that shook the entire studio. Whoopi, do you even hear yourself? You sit here preaching about women's empowerment, but the second a conservative woman succeeds, you reduce it all to her looks? That's the real scandal here. Boom! The audience? Dead silent. Not a single gasp, not a single clap, just stunned silence. Even Joy Behar, the queen of interrupting, sat there speechless, for once in her life, completely out of comebacks. And Karoline? She wasn't even close to finished. She leaned in and went for the knockout. Wokeness isn't about equality. It's a political tool used to silence anyone who doesn't fall in line. And Whoopi? You prove it every single day on this show. The gasps from the audience? You couldn't miss them. The moment was so shocking, so raw, that social media exploded in real time. Within seconds, Whoopi was exposed, and Karoline? She owned that stage like she was born for it. The clip spread like wildfire, racking up views at lightning speed. And ABC? Oh, they were not ready for what came next. Because what happened after? Oh, it only made things worse. Bam! ABC executives were horrified. Panic spread behind the scenes as reports started trickling in. Producers were fuming at Whoopi, desperate to contain the damage. Sponsors? They were getting nervous. Even some of The View's most loyal fans, people who had defended Whoopi through everything, started turning on her. And then, the real bombshell dropped. Whoopi Goldberg was mysteriously missing from the very next episode. Just gone. No explanation, no warning, just an awkward gap where she was supposed to be. And ABC's official statement? Whoopi is taking time to reflect on recent discussions. Yeah, sure. We all know what that really means. This wasn't just a simple controversy. This was crisis mode. Whoopi Goldberg, the face of The View, the one who always seemed untouchable, was on the chopping block. And the fallout? Oh, it didn't stop there. The pressure kept mounting, the backlash kept growing, and at this point, the writing was on the wall. ABC was facing a brutal decision. Do they finally clean house and bring some balance to The View, or do they double down and risk total cancellation? And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, it did. As the media storm raged on, ABC execs were scrambling behind the scenes, desperately trying to figure out how to salvage this mess. Leaks started pouring in. Producers were livid, network higher-ups were in crisis meetings, and the pressure from advertisers? Through the roof! They were terrified of losing sponsors, and some had already started pulling out quietly, not wanting to be associated with this PR disaster. But the real twist? The View's own co-hosts were starting to crack. Suddenly, the women who had spent years defending Whoopi weren't so eager to stand by her anymore. Internal tensions hit an all-time high. Off-camera whispers turned into full-blown conflict. Sources claimed Joy Behar was furious, not at Karoline, but at Whoopi for putting them all in this mess. Meanwhile, Sunny Hostin? She reportedly tried to play both sides, privately questioning whether Whoopi had gone too far this time. And just like that, the cracks in The View's foundation started to show. Then came the biggest shock yet. Insiders revealed that ABC was actively considering suspending Whoopi indefinitely. Yep, you heard that right. The woman who had ruled that stage for years was suddenly expendable. At this point, the network was stuck between two impossible choices: stick with Whoopi and risk their credibility crumbling even further, or cut her loose and admit that she had become too toxic to protect. Either way, the fate of The View was hanging by a thread. And just when things seemed like they couldn't get worse for Whoopi, they did. Behind the scenes, ABC was spiraling into full-blown crisis mode. Executives were scrambling, producers were losing their minds, and now, even legal teams were getting involved. That's right, this wasn't just about PR anymore. Sources inside the network leaked that higher-ups were having serious discussions about whether Whoopi's behavior had crossed a line, one that could legally put ABC in hot water. And if that wasn't enough, the ratings started tanking. Viewers were furious. Many of The View's longtime fans, yes, even the die-hard ones, began boycotting the show, demanding changes. Social media was on fire, with thousands calling for Whoopi to be fired immediately. But ABC wasn't just worried about viewers. They were terrified of advertisers walking away completely. Then came the next gut punch. Reports surfaced that big-name replacements were already being considered, as in, ABC was already shopping for Whoopi's replacement behind closed doors. The names being floated? Some very surprising conservative voices. This wasn't just about cutting ties with Whoopi, this was about revamping the entire show before it collapsed entirely. At this point, Whoopi's fate seemed sealed, and as more information leaked, one thing became painfully clear. ABC wasn't just debating whether to fire her. They were preparing for a full-scale purge of The View, a desperate attempt to save the sinking ship before it went down for good. At this point, the walls were closing in on Whoopi from every direction. ABC execs were scrambling, legal teams were digging deep, and producers? They were desperate to put out the flames before the entire show went up in smoke. Every leak, every report, every new revelation just made things worse. The tension behind the scenes? Absolutely unbearable. And then, the network made its first major move. In a shocking twist, sources revealed that ABC had begun quietly holding emergency meetings with potential new hosts. That's right, they weren't just considering replacing Whoopi, they were actively searching for her replacement. And not just anyone. They were looking for a voice that could actually balance the show, something The View hadn't had in years. But here's where it gets really messy. Whoopi found out. Insiders claimed she was livid, not just upset, furious. She felt betrayed by ABC, by her co-hosts, even by producers who had backed her for so long. And rather than staying quiet, she went into full attack mode. According to behind-the-scenes reports, Whoopi started throwing major shade at ABC executives, accusing them of turning their backs on her after everything she'd done for the show. She reportedly confronted Joy Behar directly, demanding to know if she was part of the discussions to push her out. And Joy? She refused to answer. At this point, Whoopi's future wasn't just uncertain, it was unraveling in real time. And with ABC already working on a contingency plan, one question remained. Was Whoopi about to be shown the door? Or was she planning to walk out first? At this point, Whoopi wasn't just fighting for her spot on The View. She was fighting for her entire career. Behind the scenes, the tension was at an all-time high. ABC was moving fast, weighing their options, and scrambling to save face before this controversy completely destroyed the network's credibility. But Whoopi, she wasn't going down without a fight. In a desperate move, insiders revealed that Whoopi had started making her own calls to top executives, network heads, and even major advertisers, trying to rally support. She wasn't just pushing back, she was demanding loyalty. But here's the problem. That loyalty was fading fast. ABC was in damage control mode, and the reality was setting in. Keeping Whoopi might be riskier than letting her go. Reports surfaced that executives were already discussing a severance package, which meant only one thing. They were preparing to cut her loose. And then, the ultimate humiliation. Leaked reports claimed that Whoopi's co-hosts had already been privately asked if they would stay on the show without her. And guess what? Not a single one of them fought to keep her. That's right, not even Joy Behar, Whoopi's so-called ride or die on The View, was willing to risk her own career to save Whoopi's. The second she became expendable, her co-hosts went silent, unwilling to go down with her sinking ship. And at this point, the writing was on the wall. With ABC already planning their next move and Whoopi standing alone, one question remained. Was she about to get fired, or was she going to beat them to the punch and quit first? Let's be real, this show lives for controversy. It's the fuel that keeps The View running. But here's the thing, when the backlash starts outweighing the ratings boost, it's game over. And right now, they're walking a razor-thin line. Advertisers are pulling out, their credibility is in shambles. And worst of all, viewers are tuning out. The cracks are everywhere, and for the first time in years, The View isn't just shaken, it might be on its last legs. So here's the million-dollar question. Did Karoline Leavitt just deliver the final nail in the coffin? At this point, ABC is running out of options. They either overhaul the show completely or risk losing everything. The Whoopi era might be crashing down in real time, and with every leaked report, every advertiser walking away, and every furious viewer demanding change, one thing is crystal clear: this isn't blowing over anytime soon. But now, it's your turn. Was Karoline's takedown the most epic moment in The View's history? Did Whoopi finally cross the line this time? And most importantly, is this the end of The View? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you bounce, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another breaking update and uncensored takedown. See you on the next one.